the instructions on how to get a resolution passed in a city council and a resolution, or a resolution passed. So, Bob, now, step one, we got to figure out the city government structure, correct?
Correct.
Yay. So then we have to figure out what type of structure it is. So what are the different structures? Home rule.
You have a home rule or non-home rule, you start there. And then you have to figure out whether the council is mayor strong or city manager strong. These are your 4 options.
Okay, home rule, non-home rule,
Right.
mayor stronger,
Right.
or what's the other one?
City manager strong.
City manager strong. So what is a home rule?
Home rule allows the citizens to protest the government or petition the government, and so they can collect petitions to get things on the ballot, whether it's an issue or anything. It can range from lights to curfew to any kind of situation that the citizens want.
And these citizens must be registered voters.
And citizens of the city.
And citizens of that city. Okay. And then after you collect these petitions, who do you take them to?
The city secretary will validate the signatures based on the voter registration file.
Okay.
And they have to be able to vote in that city election, not national, because they can be registered to vote. But if they're doing it on the city council,
Well, if they're a citizen, a resident of the city, then that's all. That covers it in the petition.
so ETJs like here, even though they're part of city.
ETJ doesn't. You're not a registered. You're not a member of the city. ETJ is separate from the city.
I know, but if he was going to be walking around a city,
Right. And if they lived in an ETJ, they're not a member of they're not a resident of the city. So they
What
don't
is an
count.
ETJ?
An extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is an area of the town that has been selected by the town for future, what is the word? Dorian?
I know.
Starts with an A.
Yeah.
It's not
acquisition.
It's not
No.
acquisition, but it's the same thing. Where they'll
Adopting?
No. Right.
Acquiring?
No.
you just have to make sure that they can actually cast a vote in a city election there.
right, because most
They'll
people-
know if they're in an ETJ.
Yeah, some of them do.
HEB.
No jokes. Okay, so now, and then, okay, this is a home rule.
Right.
And we've got to take it to, after we collect the petitions, we take it to the city manager. She'll validate those,
Well, the city secretary. But
the
yeah.
city secretary, she'll validate those
Uh-huh.
signatures, and then what do you do with it?
The city secretary will present that to the city council and the mayor, and they will vote to put it on the ballot or not.
And the A word they were looking for is
Annex.
annex.
Annex. There you go.
Annex the city.
Annex, okay. And so then, when they put it on the ballot, what's the next process?
The city council will put it on the ballot, and depending on what their charter is, they either have 30 days to put it on the ballot, or they can just put it on the ballot with the next city election.
And then the citizens can vote on it, or the city council members would vote on
No,
it?
the entire city would vote on it.
Okay. Oh, in the next election, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a non-home rule, what is that?
That just means that you don't have the avenue to go around your council, that everything has to go through your council and mayor in order to become law.
The council and mayor. So who do you take the city ordinance to in that situation?
Then you would go to that second level and see if you're a city manager strong or a mayor strong council.
Okay.
And depending on which one, you would go through that person.
So, and then the next structure with the other one is the city manager strong, and then the fourth one is
Mayor strong.
mayor strong. So in a city manager strong city, who do you take the city ordinance to in that situation? The city manager?
The city manager, and then she would either take it to the mayor or she would present it through her staff
Okay.
for the city council to vote on.
And then of course in the mayor strong, you would take it to the mayor.
Right.
Now, when you take it to these people, you have to, do you call the city and request a meeting with that person that you're going to take it to? Or how do you go about that process?
I think preferably, yeah. Or if you can gain support from your city council. That way they can reach out to that city manager too and say, hey, this is something we're interested in. Meet with Kevin and see what he has to say, but we're in support of it too, and we would like to see it on the agenda as well.
And so how would you gain the support of the city council?
Just contacting them individually and telling them what you're working on. And
So you wouldn't go to a city council meeting per se
not
and
first.
public testify. You would just call them each individual and say, hey, this is the city ordinance and I would like for it to be passed, for y'all to adopt it, and can you help me get it? Okay.
And they may even help you set up the meeting with the city manager or the mayor or whoever it is.
Okay. Now, when you set this meeting up with whoever is in charge of the city or whatever, and they do not put it on the ballot in the next election or bring it before the city council, what do you do in that situation?
I would go back to your city council and say, you know, I took this to city manager so-and-so, and she or he is blocking me from presenting this to the council. Is there, you know, a way that you could take it to her to get it put on the agenda?
You find the weak link.
You would do that. You would do that process by going to a city council meeting and
Direct.
public testifying.
I would do that before. I would go
Befriend them.
directly to them before and meet them individually before you would ever take it public, and then kind of gauge your support. And then if you think you have enough support on the council to pressure them to put it on the agenda, that's when I would go and make the public comment, saying she's blocking me from doing this. It's something that's important to the city. It's important to the council.
That's good.
Why is she not putting it on the agenda for us?
And you would do that same process by calling each of them individually.
Right. Same
Divide
thing-
and conquer.
Same thing with a mayor strong. I mean, it would just be a different person that you're working it through.
Yeah. And then if the city will not do anything about it, then you just basically go to city council and leave public comment and call them all out, basically.
Then you get the citizens involved.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you've got an
Build your
organization that
army.
is supporting the issue as well, you can bring in, 20 or 30 people to speak on that same issue. We've seen that happen. And so if you have that sort of organization, that's great. And if not, just bring it up and then take it to the media, because the media is always looking for something to write about, especially in these little towns.
And so you would say, so first we need to get the resolution. We need to go through a constitutional attorney and have them write the resolution.
Right. I would have them write it as a resolution and as, I would do three things. I would have them write it as a petition. I would have them write it as a resolution, and then as, what is the third?
City ordinance?
An ordinance.
Really old, like.
And then you can gauge, depending on which structure the city has, which way you need to go about it.
Yeah.
Because the petition, if you've got the petition writing, all you're really doing is changing the name of the town.
What?
Yeah.
And then, ordinance and then resolution, depending on what kind of support you can get from the city council.
And then, so
Calm down, Mike.
city council.
What other barriers of entry that are we not seeing? What other things come up and stop something from moving through?
And a city manager strong, your staff, because they usually pawn it off on the staff first. You'll meet with an assistant city manager or whatever, and then they'll say, well, this is the issue. Do you want to follow up with them on it or not? And maybe you do. Maybe you get to sit with the city manager right away. But a lot of these cities will pawn you off to one of the assistants based on what the issue is.
Yeah.
Because each of their assistants cover different areas of law and in the town. And they may make you meet with the city lawyer as well, depending on if you're pushing a resolution or not, or if you're pushing the ordinance. Because the ordinance is law, resolution is just how the city council feels about that issue.
Well, that's good. That's good stuff.
You have any questions?
I'm all about barriers of entry. Like, what's going to blindside me? What's going to blindside him? We have different issues, but
I think it's the same thing. Like I said, in a city manager, strong system, you're gonna have to deal with levels of government.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
In a city, in a mayor strong thing, you're gonna have to deal with the staff. So you're dealing with staff no matter what. It's just that person's staff, or if you can get a direct meeting, then even better. But if you've gone to the city councilors and say, hey, you know, we've got 7 city councilors in so-and-so town and 4 of them are already for it, you know.
Now, if he goes in, like, what we do have in common is we are totally focused on kids. We already see that the teachers' unions have been infiltrated. When we go after a homeschool association, we go in with the local kind of groups behind us and having our backs, like a local youth pastor that everybody loves that holds like fourth quarter Sundays, or the pastor who writes once a month.
Anybody that's influential in that town gives you guys more weight. And if it's somebody that maybe has endorsed the mayor or endorsed the city councilors in the previous election,
divide and conquer.
They carry that weight too. And so if it's an issue that they can get behind, then they can make the phone call and say, hey, this is what we're working on, and I'm working on it too. I support it. I supported you. Now you support it, kind of thing.
And so,
Or like she said, organizations. I mean, if you find a homeowners association that's got 2,000 votes in it and it's a 6,000 vote town, well, you've got a third of the town behind you just on one issue. So
Homeowners association. What other associations make them afraid?
uh,
When you're thinking about kids, what thing?
your PTA,
Parent teacher association.
your PTA is strong. Your booster club is strong, depending on the issue of the school. If it's a city issue, homeowners associations. There are different commissions, like a lot of these commissions and boards will deal with an issue way before the city council will. Like if it's a zoning issue or something, planning and zoning will deal with it before the city council ever makes a recommendation. So there, depending on the issue, there's different levels of government you gotta jump through before you get to the city council.
And so at the end, if the city did not pass this ordinance and they completely killed it, the last step is basically to go to the city council, call them out publicly. Would you have a press conference?
Yeah, I mean, you can,
And
I mean,
let-
whatever public pressure you can put on those councilors and the mayor, to act. I mean, we've
So-
seen it in different towns where it's died one year and we brought it back the next year and made the ballot and passed.
I don't know, maybe I'm out of line here or something like that, but with just watching how Indivisible works here, and how they're able to go ahead and put pressure on the mayor because they endorse him. I don't know what pressure, I don't know what it is that they're doing, but whatever they do, they can get the mayor to go ahead and do it without so much of a fight from anybody. And they went in there and they petitioned for, like, they were talking about, like, they wanted more rules regarding the cities, like the churches not singing. So they're up there all the time, and they're always petitioning council. So I don't know if they have the mayor's nuts in a vice, but when they out there and they speak, it gets done.
Yeah, you gotta know your people.
Well, it's different organizations. I mean, you know, if you're a mayor in Dallas and you go to, you know, Prestonwood or Dallas Baptist, those guys carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You know, with any mayor, Democrat or Republican, just because they represent such a large swath of voters.
The mega churches, I saw that in Kansas, in Missouri. We went after the mega church in the Speaker of the House's district.
Right. Or a church that he goes to. I mean, if his pastor calls him and says, hey, you know, you said you're pro-life, but you're not really doing anything about it, that carries a lot of weight. And so you just got to figure out who the influences are with that person.
It's a cultural
And
thing.
probably I would think that finding out like the mayor's donors, and calling their donors and saying, hey,
and do it on Facebook
you
Live.
are donating money to this mayor who supports mutilation of children.
Right. Yeah, or whatever the issue is, and if they fall in line with you on that issue, it's like, well, hey, can you make a call? You know, obviously you have his ear.
Oh, and film it.
Or even city council members that
Same way.
like we would have them call and be like, for Dorian's donors, and say Dorian is supporting mutilation of children.
Right.
Oh my god, don't put that on record. Jeez. Could you imagine if they got hold of that? Lord.
So, okay.
But he doesn't, by the way.
But exactly.
Just
It's
make
right
it
there.
out. Yeah, we already tried that. Never
Just an
happened.
example.
Just a what if?
Okay, so now when she's saying
Your
petitioning,
neighbors at the ear.
when she's
Yeah,
saying petitioning the city council, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it can be in a lot of ways. I mean, it can be sending in emails, or it can be making phone calls, or it can just be showing up and making public comments. You know,
So before I do all this, should I have the citizens go and leave public comments
Well, I know that Indivisible does that, and
They
that's
should all
what,
go.
Oh.
before taking the city ordinance?
yeah, they
Go
actually,
and say like,
I would as a person, if I was you, I would go through an organization that's local, because who's Kevin in Dallas, or who's Kevin in Cedar Park? Nobody gives a shit. you
yeah.
know? It's like you're not a voter. I don't care. Whatever. But if you come in and say, you know, First Baptist Church of Cedar Park is on board, and so is Red Forest Oak HOA, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Well, then you have something. And then
But if you just
more
randomly
witnesses.
show, is what I'm saying is if you randomly show up, I get all these people to randomly show up to a city council and say we're here because we would like you to pass a city ordinance to ban pediatric gender therapy, and the city council's like, huh?
well, for
But we
example,
don't even-
for in our state, in our city, it was they wanted a mandatory mask mandate in the city before the governor did it, and so what they did is they got all of their people rallied up, and they ended up getting over 100 emails on a mask mandate, and so the mayor brought it up, and I guess there were more people calling in about it, and they actually were targeting Dorian and saying, well, because them, and all that other stuff, so we need a mask mandate or whatever. And within that time, he talked about it. He only talked about it. He acted like if he was going to bring it up. I think was that the one that he thought that he was going to bring it up for a vote, like a mask mandate, but then he didn't. At the end of it.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get a feel
So
of the council.
he says, I've never seen so many
Yeah,
emails.
100 out of
regarding-
85,000 people.
Right, I've never seen so many emails regarding this issue, so this is something that maybe we should go ahead and discuss. And he brought it up as if he was something that he was going to vote on, and then like 2 days later, he made it a mandate because of that. Now, keep in mind also too, last night's council meeting, a couple of councilmen were thinking about like, well, why can't we just lift all this? He ended up saying, well, I've never received an email about it. Nobody's contacted me about lifting the ban. So even though our city is a city manager run council, he still has enough influence to go ahead and sway to go ahead and make things happen whenever he wants. And I don't know why Brenda doesn't stop him. I don't even know if she can. Can he? Can she?
Yeah, she can't. Well, she can on some things. It's just, I mean, I'm sure he goes to her and says, I have 4 votes. That means I can fire you. So, 4 out of 7 means
So really, the city manager is
she's
running
serving
the city. She's Corbin's boss, basically.
Yeah,
Corbin's
and-
boss?
Yeah, in the city structure, she is.
Oh, the city structure, yeah.
Yeah, she's like the CEO of the company, and they're the board of directors. But the only people that can fire the city manager is the council, and so
But if they all vote on
she
it,
has some reverence to them, because if she pisses off a majority of them, she could lose her job.
So let's say you bring a group of people in there that are all saying we want this on there. Then it's up to the mayor or manager to put it on the next or on an agenda to even vote on it. Correct?
Right. Or
So there's
but it's what I'm saying.
talked about, I mean.
If this city gets bombarded by citizens coming in there talking about some pediatric gender therapy ban, and they're like, we've not even heard about this. Like,
That's
what?
why I'm saying go to your individual counselor first with
First.
it and say, look, this is coming down the pike and it's going to be pretty damn hot. You're going to be getting calls, you're going to be getting emails. The guy that does the reporting on the council is going to be asking you about it to go on record here pretty quick. This is what it is. I'm bringing it to you now so you know. And then it shows that, obviously you're looking out for them too. This is coming down the pike. Are you on board or are you not? Because if you're not on board, shit's coming. And so
So the first time I do this, would you go with me?
Depends on when it. Yeah.
I mean, everybody like wants to get behind it.
Even I'll
Do we
come.
want to stop?
You have to remember that
Utilize-
he is running for a seat, so you have to. Be
I know, and this would be a great platform to run on.
Actually, would be a great platform to go ahead and run on is to go ahead and make our city a life sanctuary
Mhm.
Yeah.
for the unborn. That would be it, but we'd have
It will
to.
never pass.
It'll pass.
You think? You think they'll pass that? Well, by majority, as it sits right now. But he'll know that they'll never get it on the agenda.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is getting it on the agenda. That's one thing, but
Yeah.
if the council turns, we can get Corbin up. We could.
Oh, definitely. Yes, I agree with that. That would be beautiful.
That would be
gorgeous.
something that I would encourage everybody to
You
go.
can get the
ahead.
churches on board with that.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't, it's like, then who are you?
Well, what can we check you for? Okay, we'll be back
Well,
in
it's
3
like,
days.
what God
They
are you
decided they
following?
love child murder.
Like, seriously, what God are you worshiping? If
Well,
you
it's the
won't
same thing with
back
this
that?
issue.
Well,
Like,
and it's the same thing, and it is.
Yes,
It's
and
the
child
same thing.
mutilation, all that. Like,
We'll come back. Can we put you as a yes or a no? Oh no, I saw some stealthy Christian lobbyists do this. They're like, what can we mark you as? We'll return if you don't have an answer. Okay, we're back. Okay, so we'll just say that you love child murder. Okay, cool. We got you down. Walk away.
Oh, it's true.
That's how they put the heartbeat
It's
bill through.
pretty. It's pretty black and white.
Oh,
You
yeah.
either do or you don't.
That's-
I mean, there's no in
But
between.
this gender mutilation thing, it's right in our
It
backyard
is
right now.
That one in
This-
Dallas is disturbing. That poor
Well,
little
well,
boy.
here's the thing with the language that they're
Well,
trying to
there's
go
more
ahead
than
and
just
push.
him.
Yeah.
The language that they're trying to push with Leander IC, it's the same language that they're doing in Austin and
Yep.
Austin ISD that they use.
I wonder
Before
if
they did
Carol
the-
knows this. I'm sure she
Carol
knows this
Ayala?
one. Yeah.
No, Carol Ayala. That's when we all went to go see
I know.
him speak. That's what she said. She goes, the minute that they start changing
Uh-huh.
the language, that's when it's here. That's when it's at your
Well,
door.
we need her to start going to LASD or calling in or something.
you know,
But
there's
she's so
this-
knowledgeable with her stuff and get people to start, like what platform to really start getting behind. Like, no, we don't want. There's a lot of parents that are so against this, so against.
Well, they need to start screaming.
They
this is
are
not
though. They just don't know. I think a lot more would come out if there was an actual platform to stand behind.
it. You know
It's
what?
hard for people to come out and say this is what I believe because they'll
We
be
need
attacked.
to get in contact with the lady that ran the whole email group against LASD this week. Because she obviously has digital warriors that got involved and
That's
said,
what they said.
Hanoi said there's some lady that kind of got
Oh,
everybody together
Donna.
and sent the emails in.
Donna. I believe she